Hi, this is Mark on Fun Ideas Podcast. I got totally discombobulated here because I'm flattered to have today actor Ronnie Schell, and I've met him before. I mentioned that he used to do these San Francisco State alumni like benefits for over the years. I don't know how many years you did it. I know I met you at least twice. And
Man,
you had people like Tim Conway and Harvey Korman and Carl Ballantyne, Merv Griffin, Jack Sheldon.
right.
Those are the type of people I remember. So
And I ran out of
you ran
celebrities.
out of them. You outlived them all.
Yeah, that's
Well, I'm glad you're still here. Wow. You're 92 in about 2 weeks or something, right?
we don't talk about that,
Oh,
Mark.
well, I'm gonna be 57 if that means anything.
You're a young,
In
you're a
about a
young,
week, I know I'm a little kid.
oh, you're a youngster. You're a
Yes.
youngster.
But I have to say, being a youngster,
Mhm.
I'm sure you've heard this a zillion times. I grew up with you because I mean, you were like in every Disney film. You were on
Yeah.
Gomer Pyle. You were on,
I had my
it seemed
share of work.
yes.
50
So,
years in Vegas, too.
how many years?
50,
50
50.
years.
Started
Wow.
in 61. That was bef after the Hungry Eye and everything.
Okay.
And I opened there with, I forget who, somebody.
Who in Vegas or
A
in Hungry
singer.
Eye?
I always open for singer. Yeah, I always open for singers in Vegas,
Hmm.
and I worked with everybody, all the big singers except Sinatra and Dean Martin, and I always turned down an opportunity to work with Sinatra because I was fearful. He had a pretty bad reputation, as a person. He was my favorite singer, but as far as I didn't want to know him.
Hmm.
So here's my phone.
Did you ever encounter him, even if you'd ever opened for him?
Yeah, I met him once in the hallway at Harrah's when I was working there, and he was headlining.
Hmm. Cool. So you mentioned let's move back. Well, let's go way back. So, when you were young, did you have aspirations to being an actor, or because the early things it talks about is you were a class clown and expelled and things like that, but then you went into the military, into the Air Force. So tell me about growing up and everything.
Well, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my ambition was right out of high school, uh, professional baseball player. But I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Let's put it that way. And so when I got into the Air Force, I played a 4-year enlistment, by the way. Uh, I played 1 year, the first year, on a service team, baseball. And then I had a chance. I was always sort of a cut up and a obnoxious comedian around people. And so they were going to do at the service club where I was stationed, they were going to do a big show and they wanted me to be the MC. And I said, okay, I'll do it.
Hmm.
And that was quite a success for me. And then it just barreled on that I started doing MC work, and then toward the last of my enlistment, I started working with the United States Air Force dance band, the Airmen of Note, quite famous. And I was their comedian during their intermission.
Hmm.
And and then when I got out of the service, I went back to school in San Francisco, and in my senior year, I had an offer to work at the Purple Onion, a famous nightclub at that time.
Hmm.
And I took it because it was $85 a week, but that was great for me.
Hmm.
And that's when it all started. In fact, I opened with the Kingston Trio and Phyllis Diller,
Wow.
and I became lifelong friends with both groups.
Hmm. Aren't you
And then
just?
this, then started
Didn't
Go
you
ahead. I'm sorry.
didn't you appear on one of the Kingston Trio's albums, like their live album introducing him or something like that too?
Yes.
Hmm.
Their second album was called College Concert. It was done in at UCLA, and I did the liner notes, in the back,
Oh yeah.
and also introduced them on the record. And so I always I always said that was my comedy album because it sold millions of records. And and they were very good. We had a great time. I toured with them for a year and a half,
Hmm.
and just stuff I also did during that time. I was lucky enough to do a guest shot on You Bet Your Life with Groucho Marx,
Mm.
and I got to know him. I won $600 guessing the secret word came
Cool.
out of the table. I'll never forget table. And so then from the Kingston Trio, I started working other stuff by myself, and in Vegas.
Hmm.
And then I started doing television and motion pictures, and I was lucky enough to do 6 Disney films,
Hmm.
which what I and then I did some independent films and stuff. I did 18 films
Hmm.
altogether.
Wow.
1 or 2 were released, but it's a
Hmm.
credit.
Now you mentioned never having a comedy album, but you worked all those years. Did you ever try, or it never was important?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. I was
Hmm.
working in Dallas at a place called I can't remember, but it was a nightclub, a good nightclub. Oh, Tidelands and that was in Houston. And what happened was I was about to open in there, and comedy albums were the rage,
Right.
from Bob Newhart to whoever
Hmm.
who had a relationship with, doing the Kingston Trio stuff, said, we'd like to record you because, you do well.
Hmm.
I said, yeah, well, I'm working at the Tidelands. Come and do it. So what happened was they recorded, and about 3 months later, I was waiting for some sign to sign with them. And a guy from Columbia called me. He said, the album that we were going to do with you would have been great. We hear all this laughter, but we don't know what you're
Oh
or
no.
doing. And
Over the years, you said you did a bunch of TV shows, and of course, Gomer Pyle, and you did. I was just
Gomer
curious,
Pyle,
and Good Morning World. This
oh,
one.
oh yes, Good Morning World.
Yeah, so I got two
That
books.
was the what happened was right. That's what. Uh, what happened was in the third year of Gomer Pyle, I started doing a lot of comedy on Gomer Pyle, and personal appearances, uh, so the producers, Bill Pearce and Denoff, who also produced the Dick Van Dyke Show and Marlo Thomas's show, That Girl.
Hmm.
And they said, "Hey, Ronnie, why don't we? We're going to do a spinoff. That's where you take a show and uh, and anyway, they had this idea for 2 disc jockeys,
Hmm.
radio personalities, and so I said to Jim, "Sorry, Jim, I'm going to be on my own now." I said in very nice words, "I don't need you anymore, Jim, because I'm going to be a star myself." So I left that third year to co-star with a great actor named Joby Baker, and we did Good Morning World. We
Hmm.
did 26 episodes, and it was canceled after that. And I snuck back into Gomer Pyle And he took me. And so that's the story of Good Morning World. It was actually before its time because we came on CBS when they started on NBC Tuesday night at the movies, first run movies.
Right.
So I use this as a joke. I said, well, then what happened was every Tuesday night.
I don't know what happens.
Well, she turned out to be Gomer Pyle, and she played my girlfriend for the 24 episodes. And we became lifelong friends. I still talk to her.
Well, that's cool.
Coincidentally, the first Disney movie I ever did was Strongest Man in the World.
Right.
And you know who the star of that was?
Yeah, Kurt. Yeah. Kurt Russell. Yeah.
And yeah, Kurt. So we have become like, I don't see her that much, but she really became quite a star. She won the Academy Award for the second year out of Good Morning World, and as she continued on being a big star, and we recorded a couple of things together, but nothing big. But I just remained friends with her and Kirk.
That's good. That's good. Was there a possibility that Good Morning World would have done a second year? I heard that it was kind of on the fence, that it might have come back. Yeah.
There was a problem. I'll tell you the problem. A lot of the movies, and he also did a great job in The Last Angry Man with Paul Muni, co-starred in that movie. The problem was our show was done in front of a live audience, and he never could concentrate with the audience out there watching, and he would it was amazing because he was such a good actor, and here he couldn't say hello.
Yeah.
I went back the fourth year and played the part of Duke, and then the fifth year Jim decided he wanted to sing more and do a variety show. And he carried me and Frank Sutton, who played Sergeant Carter, with him after the Gomer Pyle was canceled, and to do the we had 2 more years doing the Jim Neighbors Hour. And that was canceled because Freddie Silverman thought we were hick shows.
One of those rural shows, yeah.
Yeah, rural. He told me any series with a tree in it.
Right. I've heard that before.
So we didn't get a chance to.
That's too bad. But I've seen clips of it. I've seen clips of the Jim Neighbors Hour. It seemed like you had some fun doing that show.
I had a better time than Frank Sutton.
Yeah.
Frank Sutton. Well, Frank was great. Was a great actor, but not know how to do sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And he was never comfortable doing it. And so I was given bigger parts than he, and he went on to do other things and died prematurely of a heart attack in Shreveport, Louisiana. He was doing a dinner theater, and he was in the dressing room, and he keeled over. 60.
Wow.
But he was a Class A people. He drank 18 cups of black coffee every day and about 19 Brazilian cigars.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's a good guy. I knew his wife, Toby, and they had 3 kids, and it was sad to see him go, but you just come on to something new.
Right. Did you stay friends with? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you stay friends with Jim all those years later too?
Friends who?
Jim Neighbors.
Yes. What happened was Jim started going out around the nation and doing concerts, and he carried me with him as the opening act.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So that was quite a thrill, yeah, because I had a I had it both ways. It was packed. I'd say, well, it's me that's drawing the people, and if he happened to get an audience that wasn't filled, I would say, well, hey, I can't do it by myself. So I always had some kind of excuse, but we became very close.
Mhm.
He paid for when I got married. He paid for my what is it? You have a reception
Mhm.
or yeah, something like that
Yep.
at his house, and we were close right up to the end of his life.
Yeah. Mhm.
Great guy. I've said this before, but I mean it. There are two people in this world that I have met, and I've been around a lot,
Oh yeah.
who never had an enemy. One was my wife, who I'm still married to. We're in our 55th year,
Cool.
and the other one was Jim Neighbors.
Wow.
He never had an, and everybody loved him, and he
Mhm.
was just great guy, great guy.
Mhm. That's cool.
If you want to
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
personal life, that's a whole different area. I don't know.
I don't want to get into all that, but one thing that was
Hey, good, good.
surprising, one thing that was kind of surprising though, is you made a couple guest spots on the Andy Griffith Show, but not as Duke. It's like you were different characters on the Andy Griffith Show.
That's right. I did three Andy Griffith shows,
Oh, three. Okay.
and yeah, they were all different characters.
Yeah.
Uh, that as we do it in the same lot as, and I just moved to the next stage and do it.
Hmm.
I also was a recurring, not very, but on that girl,
Oh yeah.
Marlo Thomas. I played her agent, Harvey Peck. Yeah,
Hmm.
and that was that.
Weren't all those shows kind of connected through Sheldon Leonard?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, very definitely.
Okay.
Sheldon Leonard was the head macho
Hmm.
guy, and he was macho. And he he was Danny Thomas, and they had formed a big company. And my manager, who was Dick Link, who handled Andy and Jim and a couple of Jerry Van Dyke, and who was best man at my wedding, by the way, and uh, Ken Berry. Remember Ken Berry?
Hmm. Yep.
And so I had sort of an in there, and that got opened the doors for movies and TV. I did a lot of guest shots. I did three Happy Days.
Hmm.
I did three Patty Duke shows.
Hmm.
I did, you name most of the shows, Sanford and Son, stuff like I popped up in all those shows.
Yeah, I remember that. That's what I grew up with.
Delighted.
It's like, hey, there's Ronnie Schell again. Because I knew you by name. Well, I knew you from Gomer
Yeah,
Pyle. But when you pop up on something else, it's the guy from Gomer Pyle.
but it was a joyful ride. I've had no. I never first class stardom, like Jim or Andy or something like that. But
All right. I don't know where we left off, but we were talking about different things about
you
sitcoms and
left off
everything.
with, well, no, I was going back over my career.
Right, right.
50 years in Las Vegas.
Hmm.
And usually I opened for a big singer.
Right,
They don't do that anymore. But eh, I worked with most of the singers except Sinatra and Dean
right.
Martin. Worked with Sammy twice,
Mm.
and all people ask me who my favorite singer was, and I always surprise them because I'm talking about people that I worked with,
Yeah,
not Sinatra. Sinatra was my all-time favorite singer, but
right.
it, can you take a guess on who? No, well, I haven't told you who I worked with. Well,
No.
you name all the
Tony
big
Orlando. I don't
singers, and
know.
I worked with Tony Orlando. Yeah,
Cool.
opened for him.
Mhm.
My favorite singer was Glenn Campbell.
Hmm.
Yeah, I worked with him twice, and I worked with Tony Bennett 3 times.
Mhm.
And Tony Bennett had a strange, great singer. You know, he's one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little side thing that a lot of comics knew about Tony Bennett. He, his dialogue when his songs never fit the music. He would come on and it's 1 to 3. There's no one in the place except you and me. Arrest that man, officer. Had nothing to do with the song. He did that a lot, and
That's
I
funny.
think I think some of his I think some of his smoking had to do with it.
Mhm.
But he was a guy, and he was. I went to him 3 times, and
Now, how did
at
that
that,
work? How did that work? Did they come to you, or how
oh,
did you get
well,
booked as an opening act?
yeah, yeah. That's how they come to you and say, we
Okay,
want Ronnie to open for such and such and such and such.
got it.
And I worked every room in Vegas except the Tropicana and the
Mhm.
Sands,
Hmm.
and every other. And I worked with the Osmonds,
Mhm.
and well, you name it, you name all those singers, and it was easy because I'd do my thing and go gamble or do something else, and that was a good uh, 30 or 40 years of work,
Mhm.
you know, during the
Did
off
your
season.
Was your
And
comedy
then I
act
did
always about the
go ahead.
same? Was your comedy act always about the same over the years, or did you change how your
Self
style?
self uh, self action
Hmm.
in human beings,
Hmm.
and I put myself at the right there, and so I identified a lot with the audiences.
Right.
I talk about all the failures that I had and things like that. But so no, I never had a problem.
Hmm.
Enjoyed it,
Very cool.
and now my career is over.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, surely, are you
well,
still
I still
doing?
do concerts, but
Well, I was wondering, do you still
yeah,
do like
I do
cartoon?
about
Go ahead.
cartoon voices.
Yeah. Do you still do cartoon
I did a
voices
lot
and
of
things?
cartoon voices.
Yeah. Do you still do
I
those
was,
now, or?
I was not as much. I did 3 Smurfs, and I did Goober and the Ghost Chasers,
Hmm.
and I did the only animated movie that Ronnie, what I want to say Dangerfield. What was his first name?
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah.
Yeah, Rodney. I did. I co-starred with him in Rover Dangerfield,
Right.
which was a cartoon, and I played and other things besides. I did about 150 cartoons, I think,
Hmm.
uh, and I won a couple of awards. I can't remember, but it was a living, you know.
Yeah. I think one of your biggest ones is probably Battle of the Planets.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
I, how did I forget 150 episodes?
Who knows?
I did 150. We do it. We do this. We do it. That's Red Skelton. We did a 2 or 3 episodes every weekend, and I'd go on Saturday and record. And what Battle of the Planets? It was the number one show in Japan, animated, and what we did was I didn't, but they took the show and put American voices in it. And I I was a regular on that, 150 episodes. So they still play that. We did the 150. That was easy. You just go in there and just dub the voices.
Mhm. Did you just watch the film in front of you and then talk into a mic? Is that how it worked?
No, no. It's weird. Uh, the director would tell us what's going to happen, and then we'd just do the dialogue. We never saw the animation,
Oh, wow.
but it worked.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Um, let's see. What else? Actually, one thing I wanted to ask you is, do you have a book in your future? I know you did the intro to this book, which is actually a pretty lengthy intro,
I
but
did.
do you have a book of your own
Last,
coming?
everybody asked me that. Everybody asked me that, but I'm too lazy. I have not
Oh,
done it. But I have stories about everybody. I think I can honestly say there's only two people that I worked with who I didn't get along with. I got along with everybody else.
mhm.
And I know you're going to ask me who those two people were because
Who?
everybody else does, right?
Right.
Not to, although I loved her singing, was Helen Reddy,
Hmm.
who's no longer with us. So,
Yeah.
but and the other one was who was still with us, Diana Ross. I worked
Hmm.
with her at Caesar's
Interesting.
Palace, and she was not the friendliest person in the world. But everybody else, I touched base with and had great relationships with.
Hmm. Interesting. They were
Uh,
both singers, and no issues with any actors over the years, I guess.
no, I got along with everybody,
Yeah.
and the comedians. A lot of them became my close friends. Tim Conway and Harvey Korman were two of my closest friends outside of outside of doing shows, and that was fun. Harvey was the most neurotic, hilarious sketch comic I ever knew,
Hmm.
and uh, I uh, I became a lifelong friend with him, and also Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's
Hmm.
uh, brother, who I thought to this day was funnier than Dick. Uh,
Hmm.
and he was best man at my wedding.
Hmm.
But he's a nightclub comedian like me, so we crossed clubs together and stuff like that.
And
So
he had the one season sitcom too, the My Mother the Car.
remember the you're right.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
he went on
yeah,
to do Coach.
yeah. He
Changed
did have a
his life.
success with Coach later.
Yeah, with who was a good actor.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Oh,
The
Craig T. Nelson.
good
Yeah,
guy, another
yeah.
good guy.
Hmm.
And I did two
Hmm.
coaches, two guest shots on that. And I usually work with most everybody
Hmm.
except Sinatra.
Right.
And I did not, yeah, I told you why.
Okay.
Sammy was a gem, Sammy Davis Jr.,
Hmm.
him to work with. Yeah. I did two concerts with him. Surprisingly, both of them were in Hawaii,
Hmm.
which means nothing to this conversation, but I just thought I'd throw that in. Sure.
Okay. Let's see. I want to see what else I can ask you. um, I wrote a whole bunch of things. Um, I want to ask you just about different people you worked with over the years, if you don't mind. Uh, you mentioned Ken Berry. What was he like?
Sure. You name it. Very quiet,
Hmm.
very talented. He's a good dancer. And I first met him uh, before I even did anything. He was in Hollywood working with a show I can't think of. of a live show, and he danced and sang, and Ken was a gem of a guy. He uh, I I worked with him several times. I don't think I can't remember if I've ever done anything in public with him, but I did a lot of acting bits with
Yeah.
him.
Well, I remember the Disney
Kenny
film, and
Barrett.
of course, I'm sure you're
Oh,
around
Cat from
Mayberry.
Outer Space.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was one of his big films, The Cat from Outer Space, and I was a co-star of that.
right.
And with Morgan, who I worshipped, great guy.
Hmm.
We became friends. And who? Oh, and another very very funny guy, except he would steal material and do it like it was his own. McLean Stevenson. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that, but he did. He he once went on. I didn't see this, but he once went on the Tim Conway told me he once went on the Tonight Show and did a whole bit
That was
that
yours?
Tim had
Oh,
a
Tim.
year earlier, and he just stole it. That he didn't have. He's
Hmm.
a funny guy,
Hmm.
and unfortunately passed away in a bad operation.
Mm.
Uh, so, but I loved it working with him. And we had a whole set of characters in The Cat from Outer Space. I was the voice of the cat,
Right,
incidentally.
right.
Yeah. And I played a sergeant in the Army on camera. And so, believe it or not, they dubbed my voice.
Right. I remember that. It's like, I guess so you wouldn't sound like the cat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, is when we met at that San Francisco State, I got you to sign. I had it just could come out on DVD, and I said, I want you to sign this one. So you did. You signed something on it. So I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I remember, when we were off just a few minutes ago, I kept saying, God, I remember Mark, but I couldn't pinpoint where we met.
Yeah, yeah,
Now I know. Now I know.
yeah. And I'm actually an alumni of San Francisco State too. I probably told you that way back when, but I didn't mention it
Oh, yeah,
today.
well, you probably told me. Did
Yeah.
you went, what'd you study?
Broadcasting. So here we are. And I did put it to use, proper use. I worked at Channel 44 KBHK TV for 5 years.
Sure.
So then I
Oh,
moved on into newspapers, and now I'm in healthcare of all things that I do outside of doing these type of things.
what healthcare? What do you mean?
I work for the county. I work for Lane County Behavioral Health,
Uh-huh.
in administration, but I help the patients and I work directly with them and stuff like that. So, it's quite
All
different.
physical illness, all
What was that?
physical ill, all physical illnesses?
Physical and mental, yeah. So, it's quite different from what I've done before, but I
Why
enjoy
did
it.
you why I'm just curious why that was an interest of yours.
Which one? The behavioral health?
Yeah.
Well,
So far removed from showbiz.
yeah.
Or
Well, it's because I don't know if you encountered this. Showbiz changed over the last few.
oh, it has changed.
It's like
It has changed. You're right.
TV is not the way it was when I worked in
No,
it.
it's not.
Newspapers are gone, so I can't work in that. And
I'm an avid newspaper reader. I never in every city I worked in, I would grab the newspaper. I love newspapers. It's a
yeah,
sad that
yeah,
people don't read the newspaper anymore. They'd
right,
rather just work it out on the computers,
yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
when I used to sell ads, I used to sell advertising, and I'd write for them and stuff like that. But back in the day, it was pretty lucrative. It was good.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
good money.
yeah.
But now it's like, I don't want to advertise. Nobody reads the newspaper, and it's like,
Where were you born? Where were you
yeah.
born?
I was born in '66 in San Jose, California.
Oh, San Jose.
Yeah, and
Well, coming back to
You were born where my mom was, Richmond, California.
was your mother born in Richmond?
Yeah, 1943. She's passed, but yeah, she was born in Richmond also. So,
Did she graduate from Richmond High?
no, she graduated. She was down in, I think, Santa Clara. So her parents had moved to South Bay, and that's where she grew up.
That whole area was beautiful, wasn't it? The Bay
Yeah,
Area.
yeah. So when
That's
she
changed.
grew up, it was all farmland. It was Gilroy and
Yeah.
Santa Clara and San Jose.
Gilroy was
Hardly any
the
buildings. So that's what we're.
garlic capital of the world, wasn't it?
Yes.
Gilroy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I grew up. Although I did live in LA for like 3 years when I was a kid. Palos Verdes Estates, you're probably familiar with it,
Nice.
so
Your
yeah.
folks must have had money.
Yeah, my dad, he worked in TV when he was young. He's still around. He's 85. He worked in Bakersfield Television, but for some reason he didn't continue in it. He decided to go into engineering. He thought there was more money and more lucrative to be an engineer.
Probably was right,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
And yeah, he did make a lot of money because he got into sales and he was selling computers, and not just the small, tiny computers that we have now. I mean, the big
Uh-huh.
refrigerator type computers,
Okay.
the big IBM things and everything,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I
he
didn't
was
know we
smart.
had money, but there we go.
Smart. He was smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's where I'm at. And then I started writing books because, and started doing these interviews because I was interviewing people for books I've written. I've written books about comic books and animation. In fact, you're in two of my books, which I brought them here because
Which one?
you're a big Disney person. You said you did
Yeah.
like 7 films. So I did Frozen and Ice, the story of Walt Disney Productions from 66 to 85, which was the period of time that you worked there. And I do reviews of all the films you did, like Gus and Shaggy
Did I sign
DA and
that?
what?
Did I sign that, or was I going to
No,
sign
this
that?
is my copy. So no,
Oh,
I only had you sign the DVD. And then my other book, which is more recent, and you're in this too, is Stars of Walt Disney Productions.
can you send me a copy of your? I work with most of those people that I see there.
Sure. Yeah. It's,
In fact, wait a
there's
minute. I think I work with
there's Kurt.
everybody.
Yeah. Well, there's
Yeah,
Dick. Did you work with
and
Annette?
up in the, wait a minute. I worked with all those people. I worked with
I know you work with Dean Jones. Yeah.
Gene Jones. Yeah, I did the Shaggy DA. I
Yeah.
played I can't remember, but I played a good part, big
Yeah.
thing.
But I can send you a copy. Sure.
I
Yeah.
wish you would.
Yeah. But yeah, you're definitely in the book because yeah,
Right.
you're one of Disney's stars. Now,
Well,
what was it like working at Disney all those years?
cheap. They didn't like to spend money.
Wow.
I just so I would do all these things for Disney and the minimum. I got
Wow.
minimum wages, but he gave that up to get the chance to work with Disney
Yeah.
for the
Well, I
company.
guess you
And
liked it. You stayed for about 3 or 4 years at least, right?
oh yeah, I did. See, I did Captain from Outer Space. I did Gus.
Yeah.
I did. I did a bunch of something in the Midway Monster or something like that with Jacqueline Smith,
Hmm.
and I did a lot of Disney stuff. The head of casting, Bill Shepard, was a friend of mine, and he used me in everything.
Hmm.
And he's no longer there,
Yeah.
but so he can't use me. But I'm down to doing about 4 concerts a year.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and that's enough to keep me, busy.
Now, where do you
I
perform
do
typically? Where do you perform nowadays?
seventh year, 7 years in a row. I perform at the in Mayberry, North Carolina. I do the Mayberry thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
In fact, my son is producing the Mayberry movies,
Hmm.
Mayberry, and
Hmm.
one's in not Netflix, but the other one, the other big one. Starts
Uh,
with an A.
Apple TV or
Bigger than that.
all I can think of is Hulu. You're talking streaming? Is that what you're talking about? Or
Yeah, well, uh, yeah. Huh? Streaming.
yeah, you're talking streaming.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway.
Uh, so I I did a lot of I go there my 7th year.
Hmm.
I go there in September. They have
Hmm.
they have a big Mayberry reunion, Andy Griffith's reunion,
Right.
and I was there 7 years in a row. I just signed to do my 7th year.
Hmm.
I'm alive in September
Wow.
next
um, when you used to do the San Francisco State benefits, how many years did you do that?
10,
10 years. Wow.
10
Um,
years in a row. And guess
mhm.
what? I ran out of celebrities.
Right. I think we said that at the top of the
The celebrities I knew, I ran out,
right.
and I used all my friends that I worked with Harvey and Tim and in fact Harvey and Tim did my show twice
Yeah.
at San Francisco State,
Hmm.
and we had a great run. It was always packed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And was that just a benefit? I never even remember. Was that just a benefit for the
benefit for,
college?
it was a benefit for the uh, the school itself.
Oh, I see. Okay. For their theater department, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all coming
You know,
back
I
to me too.
graduated from San Francisco
It's been a while. I don't know. When was the last year you did one of those?
about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Eight to
Okay.
10.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I can tell you the cast that I used in the last year because then I ran out.
Okay.
Uh, uh, Dang. I
Maybe not.
had it a minute ago. Uh, the Impressionist did impressions.
Rich Little.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
know. And Tommy Smothers
Oh yeah.
and a cast like that. Well, that was at the end of all the people I knew that
Right.
I could use.
Yeah.
And we used and Tommy Smothers was hilarious. He came on and did tricks with the
Yo-yo. Yeah.
yo-yo.
Yeah.
Was he doing that? Did you know that he did that?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw him. I mentioned my friend Dane at the top of the show, but we used to do various celebrity interviews around, and we'd go to like the Pebble Beach Pro Am, and
Oh
he'd
yeah,
invariably show up there, and
yeah.
he did his act with the yo-yo. I never met Dick over the years. I
Not,
just met Tom. So,
I was not a fan of Dick's.
oh,
Sorry.
uh,
I mean, I got along with him okay, but he was.
yeah. And then about a year ago, at the beginning of this year, they were supposed to do a show like in Santa Rosa, and I was all excited. I bought tickets and everything. And then they were still nervous about COVID and everything, and so they canceled out. And it's like, because I never saw both of them together. So, I,
Well, Dick was a good straight man for Tommy,
mm,
and Dick was a lot younger than Tommy. Did you know that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but Tommy was the bum, the funny guy.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, he was also, Tommy was also the motivator, I think, to get him to do stuff. It seems
absolutely
like
right.
Dick was just kind of like, "Oh, okay, I'll come along if you say so.
Dick was more interested in car races,
Right.
and he moved to Florida. I don't know if he ever came back.
Hmm.
Uh, I saw a special, and I'm sure you've seen it on TV not long ago about folk music, and
Yeah.
they sort of co-emceed that.
Hmm.
And I guess he came in from Florida to do that with Tommy.
Yeah.
But Tommy was funny guy.
Hmm. Yeah.
I worked with him at the Purple Onion way back when.
Wow. So did you work with them so far back that there is a third Smothers brother? Because I
They
think way
fired,
back when
they,
they had a
they
woman in
fired,
their act. Yeah.
they fired the son's mother, the third Smother brother when they came to work with me at the Purple Onion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a third guy. I don't
Mhm.
think he wasn't even related. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But and I
No.
barely know about that because they never appear on the albums or anything like that. So
Came out of Santa Clara or somewhere down the peninsula.
yeah,
And, that's a story there. They fired the guy after they went to the Purple Onion,
yeah.
and well, a lot of great people worked at at the Purple Onion
Mhm.
and the Hungry Eye, which was across the street.
Mhm.
What happened if you did well at the Purple Onion, you graduated a step further at the Hungry Eye. That was the big nightclub
Hmm.
owned by Enrico Banducci. And
Right.
I ended up doing 3 engagements at the Hungry Eye after I graduated from the Purple Onion.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never knew all those clubs as comedy clubs because when I lived in San Francisco, it was the red light district, as it were. So, it's like, oh my God, it's like all these classic places and their strip clubs,
There were a lot of folk singers.
Yeah.
That was big in the Bay Area,
Hmm.
and most of those clubs would have folk singers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was an interesting thing. If you did well at Hungry Eye and the Purple Onion,
Hmm.
the next thing up would be the Venetian Room at the Fairmont Hotel,
Mm.
which I did. But I did the other thing, Bimbo's
Oh,
365.
yeah, I remember Bimbos. Yeah.
I opened there on my wedding date, uh, wedding dates. My wife and I spent our honeymoon in San Francisco at the Bimbo's, open for Al Martino, who was quite a good singer.
Hmm.
He never quite made it as big as the other guys, but he was still good.
Yeah. He made it into The Godfather, though. So. Let's see if I have any other questions or anything here before we go.
If I ever worked for the mafia.
Yeah, did you work for the mafia?
Yes.
Wow, tell me about that. That's a good
I
story.
when I worked when I first started working in nightclubs, other than in the Bay Area,
Hmm.
back east, all those clubs were owned by the mafia.
Hmm.
Not in front, but in the back.
Hmm.
There's always like I'd go to a club in maybe Detroit, for instance,
Hmm.
and there were there was always the owner, quote unquote, and then in the back there was always this five five elderly gentlemen sitting there who you never should hang out with, and they were the guys that ran the mafia. Treated me great. I'll be honest with you.
Oh.
Uh, in fact, one of the stars of the mafia in those days was a guy named Manny Scar
Hmm.
in Chicago.
Hmm.
And I was a favorite of his, and he would book me in Chicago several times. So I never had any. He didn't murder me.
Did he have the gruff voice that they always have in the stereotypical mafia guy?
Yes. Yeah,
I gotta book you, Ronnie. I gotta
sure.
get you on the stage. Yeah.
And on stage running. That was fun.
Here's a question I have though. So you had the sitcom success in the 60s, and I know you guested like on every sitcom, we could just label them all, but was there ever aspirations to do another sitcom or a star in one, or did you just say, I'm just take it as it comes?
Take it as it comes. Never had the ambition to star in a long running television show.
Uh-huh.
Eh, I just like to work. I like to do whatever came along, and it worked out good for me.
Hmm. Had it
Um,
happened, would you have turned it down? Like if you got something like a
oh no, I wouldn't.
Cheers or something, or
I like to work. I like
yeah,
to work.
yeah,
So
okay.
I never turned down any. I don't think I ever turned down a job.
Hmm.
I have to go through it, but I never turned down a job. I got a lot of offers, and I would take them,
Yeah,
even if I work them in between other jobs.
yeah. Well, it seems to me if I always found it incredible that actors sometimes they're on a hit series or something,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason they quit and
Stupid.
thinking they're going to go on to some greater fame or something like that. Like
And they don't.
you took a gamble doing Good Morning World, but I mean there was a reason for doing it. And
Yes.
you know, you felt no guilt going back to Gomer Pyle, so you know, you just wanted to work.
No, that was silly. A lot of actors, like you said, would quit a show. I'm going to do my own thing from now on,
Yeah.
and that own thing never showed up.
Yeah. Like one that sticks in my mind always is the story of Pernell Roberts, who is on Bonanza. You know, it's like, and that's like the biggest show. And he's like, I hate this show. I don't want to do this show. And he leaves. And he did finally have Trapper John MD years later. But I mean, it's like, just write it out. It's
Yes,
not going to last forever.
I did a guest shot on Trapper John,
Oh, cool.
and he was there, and but it never reached the height that he did from the other show.
Yeah. And the other one I can think of is Farrah Fawcett on Charlie's Angels. You know, it's like she only did the 1 year and then left, and everybody remembers her. But you know, it's like,
How about Chevy Chase on
oh
70?
yeah,
1 year, one
yeah,
year.
yeah. It's amazing to me. It's like because it seems like your whole life. I mean, you said you had aspirations to be an actor or a comedian or something, right?
Well, afterwards, yeah, I had
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
My biggest ambition was to be a baseball player, but I
Oh,
wasn't.
okay. Well, but I mean, even then, if you became a baseball player or anything you wouldn't say, "All right, I've been a baseball player this season. I'm done. Bye bye." You
No,
know,
no,
it's like you would
never happened.
continue for your career or whatever.
I was always grateful.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's always amazing to me when actors do that. They just suddenly say, "Yeah, I've been there, done that, and I'm leaving." It's like you're
absolutely
an
right.
actor. Acting's what you want to do, I think. You know, you know. But
No, I never turned down anything. I don't recall.
yeah. Well, I mean, for me as a, you know, one who loves character actors, that's the reason why I did this book because I love character actors, you know. And you know, it's like I'm sure you did like Love Boat and stuff like that. I used to
I did
adore
love both. I did
yeah,
love
I
both.
adored that show because of who would show up on it. You know, it's like you'd get like the current hot stars of the day, and then you'd get the old guard that, wow, I didn't know that they still were around.
And who was the singer?
Who was the singer? Oh, Jack Jones. Did you open
Yeah,
for him?
I worked with him. Yes,
There you
yes, I
go.
worked with him in Harris. Harris. We became good friends at that time, and he still works occasionally. He lives in Nevada somewhere.
Yeah.
Good guy. Good guy.
Now, where are you nowadays? Are you in LA area or where are you?
I'm in LA.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
my whole family is here. I
Okay.
have two sons. Well, one of my sons is producing the Mayberry Man series.
Hmm.
It's just got picked up for another season.
Hmm.
And then my other son is in computers, which I don't understand anything about, but I do have a granddaughter whose mother,
Hmm.
my mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, was born in Italy. So I've got the Italian strain there. Get all the Italian food I want.
That's great.
She's from Napoli. Napoli.
Hmm. No wonder you got
So,
along with the mafia if you like the Italian food.
yeah, right. You're
Here, eat, manja, manja.
right.
So apart from doing the Mayberry thing for this, are you basically retired now and you don't do anything else or
Semi, semi.
semi?
Uh,
So,
I do a show. Well, Indiana. I did a show in Indiana for
mhm,
3 years, and that still goes, and I do that. Uh,
mhm.
where else do I work?
I saw you made an appearance at some sort of Northern California convention or something. I was looking on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I did a thing recently up in not Lake Tahoe, the Bay Area, somewhere in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
Like a personal appearance there, and
Hmm.
that was fine. I was there for 5 days, and a lot of people from the Bay Area came up to see me.
Hmm.
And where was that? It was somewhere in the perimeter. Okay.
I wish I knew about
Oh,
it. Probably got
Orinda. You're right. Orinda.
Orinda.
Is
Okay, I've been there. Yeah.
yeah, they have a concert. I did a concert there.
Hmm. I
Or
wish
did
I
I
knew
just
about
go
it. I would have
overall?
come down. I would have come
Yeah.
down for that one, but if it was during the pandemic, I wasn't coming.
Oh, no, that's true.
Yeah.
But if I'm ever around the Bay Area and or like I told you off camera, I joined the Air Force in Klamath Falls.
Oh, that's up here.
Yeah. So, uh, I love Oregon,
Hmm.
and I used to work in Portland
Yeah.
at a club, and I worked Seattle. I worked Spokane was a biggie for me,
Hmm.
so I knew that area, and I can still I can still perform for the masses. I haven't uh, grown out of I have I'm not stale.
Yeah.
And so if you ever have a concert up there and you want a good performer, will you let me know?
Well, you can open for the Stinkfoot Orchestra.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
they're, I'm sure you know who Frank Zappa is. It's a
Oh, yeah.
but Stinkfoot Orchestra is this group of young people that do Zappa music covers, and they get a couple people from the original Zappa band to be with them. They're actually not bad, to be honest.
Uh-huh. Where
It's
they
just
were in Portland?
they play in Portland, they play here in Eugene, Springfield area, and they do go down to the Bay Area. They're at Oakland, San Francisco, and stuff like that. And I think they sometimes go to LA too. So they just travel
You
up and
live
down the
near
coast.
Eugene?
What?
You live near Eugene?
Yeah, Eugene and Springfield are right next to each other.
I did a
It's
movie there.
What'd you do?
How to beat the high cost of living. You
Oh,
remember
I've
that movie?
seen that. I didn't know that was filmed here.
I had one huge scene in that, but yeah, I we did that up in Eugene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the movies that I know up here, there's quite a few movies that have been done in Oregon. Um, Animal House is the biggie for Eugene. Uh, Buster Keaton's The General was done in Cottage Grove, which is close
That's
by
right.
here. And
Uh,
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was filmed in Salem, at the
another.
actual mental hospital.
Yeah.
um, and I know the Goonies was done up here. Trying to think of different ones. Those are
Well,
the biggies that people know. So
the one you mentioned, the last one.
the
The,
Goonies, that's a
yeah.
kids film.
Was Harvey in one of those? The Goonies?
He might have been in that one. I don't know. I haven't seen the Goonies in
Did
years.
they do a second Goonie?
No,
Oh, okay.
you
He
might be
wasn't.
thinking of a different movie. Yeah. But it's kind of funny. Before I moved up here, I did know Animal House was shot up here because I'm right by University of Oregon, which is where they have the Delta House and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And this that house is gone because it was decrepit anyway. But
Uh-huh.
some of the sorority houses that were in that film are still
Oh,
there,
is that
and you
right?
can drive by them and visit them and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I don't know how well you know that movie, but the parade scene in that one was done in Cottage Grove, and you can still drive down that main street.
Well, it
And
was one of my favorite movies at that time.
mhm,
Uh, I can't remember who I liked best, but there were a lot of character actors in that.
which
uh,
one?
Animal House.
Oh yeah, so like John Vernon's in it, and
Yeah, John
yeah,
Vernon.
Caesar no Denova is one of them, and I can't think of all the other ones.
Nova?
Yeah, yeah, he played the mayor of the town. I don't know if you remember that, but
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and
I
but
thought you were going to say Judy Canova.
no, not Judy Canova. Let's see. um and But maybe Diana Canova. No. Anyway. uh One of the things that's up here, and I thought it was just a prop for that film, is the Dexter's nightclub. And in the movie, it's the club that the everyone in there is black except for
Black.
the
Yeah, I
lead
remember
cast.
that.
Yeah, here it's just a regular bar, but they memorialize it. They have the little stage on there, and they have photos of the Animal House on the wall and stuff like that because they know, But I thought it was a prop they just built. I didn't know it was an actual bar, but I went to it about a year ago, so it's
Oh,
like, wow,
I remember that. That was
yeah,
funny.
yeah. So
All the guys that went in there were black,
yes.
and
So
yeah,
I mean, we have our little Hollywood up here, as it were. So that they did different films. So you know, actually
well,
going back to the General, I'll say that one. The funny thing about the General is I didn't know that Buster Keaton came up here to do that. I thought they shot it around LA, or he actually was considering doing it at Atlanta, but they didn't want to do a comedy about the Civil War down there.
there was a lot of as I recall, the general. There was a lot of scenery,
Yeah,
right? Is that the big train one?
that's the train one. Yeah, yeah.
That was great.
But the train was outside of Cottage Grove. They still run trains on it to this day. So, and
I have an association
what?
with Buster Keaton.
How's that?
His last wife was a huge fan of mine.
Hmm.
I don't know where. And she must have talked him into coming to see me. And then after he died,
Hmm.
she was still doing personal appearances. I don't know. She wasn't an actress, but and she said that Ronnie Schell was one of his favorite comedians.
Wow.
So that was quite a thrill.
Hmm.
I don't know if she's still alive. She's probably not anymore.
I don't know. I usually try to keep track of everybody, but it's like actually we all lost somebody that you worked with, Norman Lear, just the other day. So
Before yesterday, I
yeah.
worked with him a lot. I did a lot of his television. Uh, the thing with I can't remember. He said to somebody, I I just know that I did a lot of work for Norman Lear
Yeah. The one I
and his
remember.
partner Buddy Arkin. Buddy
Yeah.
Arkin, I did work with him.
Hmm. I just
Oh,
remember Sanford and Son most recently because
oh,
I'm rewatching all these shows because I have
okay,
the DVDs. So
I'm the
yeah,
mayor of New York.
yes.
In that, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I've got some excellent photos of myself backstage with what's his name, the star.
Oh, Red Fox.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I remember. I don't care now. He's gone. Uh, I was just about to go on stage with him, and he turned to me and said, "You want some of this?" And it was a cocaine.
Oh.
No, 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 thanks.
Well, I'm sure with your career and where you've been and everything, you're probably exposed to everything and anything. It didn't mean you
I
imbibed
was.
in it necessarily, but
I
yeah.
don't know why I did. I never adapted that kind of if anything, I would have been my favorite would have been wine.
Hmm.
I smoked a couple of glasses of wine every night.
Yeah.
That keeps me going,
Hmm.
but I never became a drug addict or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's too late now.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest stuff I ever really had was I used to smoke weed, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
fun.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I smoke weed.
but I stopped years ago, and now it's legal, and it's like I have no interest in smoking it now. So I'm like,
Well,
whatever.
that's interesting. A
Yeah,
fellow, I smoked weed when it was really illegal,
yeah, yeah,
and we would go in the sitting room and shut the door and hide and smoke. Then now
wow,
you can drink it. You can just smoke it anywhere.
yeah. Well, up here, I don't know about down where you are, but up here, there seems like there's a pot shop every street corner.
There's also farms up there where they make it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's big stuff up here. And I go, damn, if I wish this was like 30 years ago, I'd be more interested. But I don't know. I gave it up. I just said, it's too difficult. And well, actually for me, it just made me too sleepy. And
Do you have a family?
I live with my wife and my dog. You might have heard her whimpering over here, but
I love
uh,
dogs. That's a,
and
we never even covered that. I am the number one dog lover of
oh,
all time. I'm a member of the American Federation for the ASPCA.
mhm.
And, if I have a thing that I'm really great about, it's having a dog.
Yes. I always wanted a dog, but my mom never did when I was growing up. And then when I went on my own, the longest time I just didn't have any pets.
What kind of
Um,
dog? What kind of dog do you have?
she's normally I would have her on the show because she just comes on the show. You know, I'm surprised she hasn't popped up here, but I will tell you why first. She hurt her leg the other day. She's tore a ligament,
Oh,
unfortunately, and we had to take her to the vet the other night. And
oh, this.
she's doing fine, but she's on some pain medications right now, so and just resting in the kennel over there. But normally she would be sitting right here, and I'd be petting her and everything like
How
that.
old is she?
She's about 5 now.
That's young.
Yeah, she's a small dog. She looks kind of like Toto in Wizard of Oz,
Oh yeah,
but she's half Westie and half Havanese. It's a little black dog. She's
sounds great.
yeah,
Sounds great.
and she's not my first dog. I had a previous girlfriend about a decade ago. She had this huge Airedale Terrier.
Yeah.
He was a pain in the ass, but I love that dog. But we broke up, and so now we have this small dog, and I love this dog too, and it's like, yeah,
Well, I've got dog.
normally, like I said, if you watch other episodes of this podcast, it's like the dog will be on and stuff like that. But
Well, next time you have me on, bring the dog
yes,
because I
yeah, and normally I would, but I don't want to touch her right now,
my
with the
dog
leg.
was playing here a little while ago.
Uh-huh.
You didn't see him?
No.
He's an
Describe
Airedale,
him? Uh-huh.
white, uh, uh, white dog, a white dog.
Yeah, white dog.
He's a member of our family, huh? Labrador Retriever.
Labrador Retriever. Okay.
I
Is he a
love
big dog or small or
a medium,
medium dog? Okay.
beautiful dog.
Yeah.
She's uh, she's 5
Yeah.
for a dog that they're good for about what 8, 9 or 9 years.
Yeah. I think small dogs tend to go a little bit longer, hopefully,
They do.
Yeah.
There's some dogs that can live 18 years.
Yeah. And so I hope she's around. It's heartbreaking that she's in pain, but at least she has the meds right now. So yeah.
Do you bring her home? Is she at home?
She's at home.
That
She's over here in the kennel next to me, but I can't, I'd have to go get her, but I don't want to lift her up because I don't want to aggravate the leg. So, but it was her right rear leg. She just landed funny on the couch and just started going, ee, ee, ee. And I go, what's wrong? Geez, and we've tried to figure it out. And, we took her to the vet and oh yeah, we had to leave her there for half a day and it turned out, yeah, torn ligament. It was like, it's that fast. It was so weird you know,
that's rare.
like a sports injury. Actually, they
Yeah,
said on small dogs it isn't that rare, which is kind of funny. At least the vet said that, and it's like,
I,
it's
I I've had dogs all my life,
yeah,
and for a while I had 2 dogs.
uh-huh,
In fact, that wasn't too long ago. Airedale. And I just love. They're part of my family. I mean, my dog's part of our family.
yeah. Then you probably know these people because Lori Jacobson and John Provost, yeah,
Yes, I do.
and John, but they both were on this podcast in recent times, and of course
That's
with
why I'm
John,
here.
what
That's
was
why
that?
I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And we John and I talked at length about Lassie and his dog work and everything like that. It's kind of
I cannot believe that he is grown up. He was such a little guy,
yeah,
uh, still youthful looking.
yeah, yeah. And it's like it's kind of funny. I met John years ago, because he does okay. He does
Well,
signings at conventions and but it was Lori that I actually got in touch with first, talking about the Beatles of everything. So, and then I kind of went kind of backwards, you
She's
know.
been very successful,
Yeah,
hasn't she? At what
yeah,
she does.
yeah.
You can't see it, but my dog's right here at my feet.
Oh, okay. Hello,
Olive,
dog.
say hello. Say hello
Hello,
to,
dog. I can't see.
say hello to Mark. I
Is,
love her. I love
is
her.
his name Harvey? Anyway, no,
Olive.
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 Okay, okay.
Hi, Olive. Hi.
Harvey the rabbit.
Oh, Harvey's. I got that from Corman. He was a friend of mine. Close
Yeah,
friend.
yeah. Um,
Anyway,
all
I
right.
think we've
Well,
run out.
what was that?
Have we run out?
We probably have run out. Actually, I mean, it was. I wanted to talk to you more on this side because it's like actually the connection was a little bit better. So hopefully I can do a little editing and cut some of the parts where
Yeah,
you cut out
I
there,
can
and
come
then
back. I
yeah,
can come back.
yeah. But no, I
Can't
think
walk around.
okay. Well, I'd love to have you back on the podcast again.
I'll
It's
do it.
like
I'll
I
do
know
it.
you have stories because I've heard you on other podcasts. I think you did Stu Shostak's show once, and you had a bunch of stories and things like that. So
I was told, did we cover this? I don't know.
no.
That I was the funniest uh guest on the little Jewish guy who
Oh, Gilbert Gottfried?
I was
Yes, I listened to that. That was funny. You were very funny on
I
that
was
one.
told I was. That's who I did the Alan Ladd story.
Yes.
I'll tell you about next time.
All right.
A funny story.
All right.
And
Well, we'll leave it there just because we're kind of doing a natural close here. I will send you a copy of my book. If you ever write a
please,
book, please send me a copy. And you know, it,
absolutely.
it was good connecting with you again, Ronnie. And
It was
that
good
was
seeing you
one
again, Mark.
that was one of the reasons why, when Lori gave me a list of celebrities, I said, I want to talk to Ronnie again. I met him. I liked him. So,
Well,
um,
I'm sure I have a few stories I haven't told you that I'll tell you next time.
all right. Sounds very
Okay.
good. Well, I
Now
appreciate very much.
we'll get down and dirty.
All right. Sounds good. Okay.
Anyway,
Well, we've had Ronnie Schell on here for the last hour or so, and he's been a pleasure. And I want to thank you very much for being on the Fun Ideas podcast. And
what's the name of your show?
Fun Ideas podcast.
One Idea Podcast. Okay.
And if you want to see other episodes, they're on YouTube, or Podomatic, and Leonard can help you watch some if you want to watch any. You can watch the John Provost one or any of the others. Actually, the Provost one isn't up yet because that was a pretty recent one. So
Does he look like a man?
he looks like a little boy with a mustache.
That's what I suspected.
But
Don't
he's very
worry.
cool. I love him to death. So
Don't
anyway.
worry.
All right. I love both of them. I love you. Anyway, so we will continue on and have another
We'll
conversation
do it
soon.
again. We'll do it again.
All right. Thank you very
Take
much,
care.
Ronnie. Okay.
Thanks, Mark. It was a
We'll talk
pleasure.
soon.
A real
And we'll
pleasure.
see you next time on the podcast, Fun Ideas
Sure.
Podcast.
Hope so. Okay.